it's such a disappointment.
Excusable. I simply do not understand what just happened. I was looking at just the opening kill at the beginning of round 35, sorry, and we have 26-8 in opening kills for G2. It is ridiculous. It actually is insane. The fact that Big were able to mount that comeback, find all these holes, so many misjudgment, so many mistakes and misaimed. Look, we're gonna take the time to praise Big for what they have done, because after all, they have won these rounds fair and square. But on the side of G2, you cannot excuse what just happened in the last 10 rounds of that game.
No, we were setting this this match up to be such a pinnacle point for G2 to really be brushing off that ghost of the 0-5 finish at EPL, coming back into this one fighting, proved that that was just a misstep for them as a team. And it just proves that it isn't. It's just so unfortunate to see this result coming together for G2.
Going into the fall groups, we had the question for G2, could they fix their clear communication errors that were present at EPL? And the answer is a resounding no. There is just utter teamwork failure in many rounds where they are advantaged, like Maniac said, and yet they can't close out rounds that any other team would be closing out. There are so many instances where a player is peaking in a situation where he shouldn't be. There is no crossfire that's being established. There are holes on the map. Despite the fact that they are finding picks, those are those moments you should be closing out, and yet G2 failed again and again here.
And I think that's what's so disappointing when we look at the roster of G2 as well, because you have some absolutely stellar names on that side. And it's not like they can't get the frags. It's just exactly what Maui was saying. It's just the teamwork, the communication. It was so evident in some of those rounds. It just wasn't going their way.
There are so many indicators of a lack of confidence right now in G2. And the problem is when really push comes to shove, when the pressure is high, this is where you start to see all the cracks in the wall. This is where you start to see the mistakes, right? You could talk about retake situation, power play situation, retakes taking way too long to be put in place, even though there is a fair amount of utility on the side of G2. You can talk about Jax making a mistake in positions where he should never be caught off guard, allowing Big to come back into games. You can talk about the gambles after gamble, after gamble, after gamble on the CT side, going 3 players B again and again, whereas the A side is being torn apart. So many decisions. A team that is right now out of oxygen, a team that could almost see what was going to happen. This is what really struck me when we were watching the game, is that you feel G2 at 15-10 or 15-12 can already imagine that the comeback is about to happen against them, and they play not to lose.
Yeah, and just to sort of put the knife in the back for G2 even more, it comes off of a really, really good T side that we saw from them to be opening up this game. The score was 10-5, and there was some really good looks from them on that T side. It's heartbreaking that they just couldn't translate that over onto the CT and then closing it out.
G2 could practically do no wrong on the T side. We have a round that we can show where, despite the fact that in this one, number 9, they had no map control with 30 seconds left, their back was against the wall in this round. They just run a set piece that they have in their back pocket, and it works out beautifully. When this kind of round is working out for G2, where they can have no space on the map and yet use the smokes that they have remaining in order to just bust out a set play and tear apart the A defense from Big, this is when you think that G2 have this map, because they are so in control that they don't even need to play stages 1, 2, and 3 of the round. They can just straight up go for those set pieces, which they are known for, but that's when you really do believe that Big have no shot in this map. If they can't defend something like that, when they had so much info, so much time to work with, or at least so much time against G2, that's when they should be failing, but they were pulling through in that first half.
Yeah, and then we move on to the second half for G2, and this is where things just really seem to unravel for them. We come into it, and Big managed to get that string of rounds, giving up to 10 rounds apiece. But then, you know, G2 go on that Terraform, but it just doesn't seem to calculate for them.
When the score is 10-10, you would believe that G2 were still in control. And then finally, you know, as I say, the cracks start to appear. I have a round that I want to show you guys at home. G2 is actually going to win this, but it speaks volume as to the mistakes that we're about to see. It starts off here with that double kill from Nico. Look at the minimap. You have 2 players on the B side. Now, first mistake, a mistake that we're about to see a lot in this game. Jax, as the fix A anchor, gets caught off guard by Tizian. The bomb is nowhere near the B side, and that kill right here is a yellow card when it comes to football. You cannot get caught off guard. And if it weren't for Hunter's heroic here, finding that timing onto Tizian, and then overcommitting to the clutch, overcommitting and still being able to find a double kill, Big could have broken G2 right here, right there. That was one of the first signs of alarm, one of the first signs of concerns I had for this game. A G2 that was never in control. Nexa is going to be able to defuse in front of SyrsoN, but it's just a smoke screen. This is a smoke screen because that 13-10 scoreline for G2 doesn't scream control at all.
And I think then we've got to move on to be taking a look at the last round of regulation, where we see Big pushing it to that OT and ultimately sealing that victory later on.
Yeah, Big, to their credit, they did call knowing what their win condition was in this game. A lot of A hits at the end there, and we saw that G2 was stacking towards the B site consistently, and we can see in this one, tabseN just lays it all on the line. Round number 30, look at what his players do. They walk through a smoke at mid because they are so confident that no matter what kind of defense G2 put up at this A site, that they are going to beat it out, and that's exactly what happens. Jax is still able to accomplish 1 kill while maneuvering around the bomb site, but it's over. At this point, k1to cuts off the rotation, and that's round number 30.
I'm so confused by all of these B stacks we saw towards the very end of regulation. We're talking the last 4 or 5 rounds, and I almost think that at some point Nexa was calling a bluff on the side of tabseN, saying, hey, you know what, you've been hitting the A side 3-4 times in a row. At some point you're going to attack me on the B side. At some point it's going to happen and we're going to be ready. And tabseN never took the bait. He never took the bait. He kept on going with the pressure towards the A side, and again the Amanek Jax duo just could not do it. They could not do it with 2 players. But there's 2 routes here. We can even pounce on 1 player, and definitely Jax did not play a good game. He was completely lost on that map, and he probably cost a lot of the CT rounds. But you could also talk about the structures and the decisions. Someone somewhere has to say, hey, this is not working. The first round of overtime they win, they have that double app setup. They start, they make the difference, and then they go back. But they had to wait until overtime to find the solution. So it's not just one player missing, it's a failure of a total system towards the very end.
And I think the craziest thing as well is when we were looking at that G2 game versus NIP on Inferno, it was actually the B side that had a lot of holes in it, and you perhaps would have anticipated the Big would try and capitalize upon those, but no, they go towards the A side. And yeah, time and time again, as you guys were saying, just no success for G2 in holding it.
There just seems to be numerous issues that are plaguing G2 at this point, and when one may be fixed, another falls apart. It's not a great situation if you are in G2's shoes, because they did look like they actually improved their B a little bit, but tabseN and the rest of Big just kept hammering A, as it was the only thing that was working for them, so they kept doing it. And that's something to tabseN's credit that he calls pragmatically, and I think at this point, I would like to celebrate the fact that Big were able to make it through. This was a surprise victory. It was a huge comeback for them, and it's something that with this roster, you would not have expected to happen. The fact that G2, ranked number 3 in the world, is falling to a Big that lost one of their best riflers, it's unthinkable. And yet that is the reality we are living in today.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can see how much it means to them on those reaction cams as well. And I think it's really, really interesting to speak about Gade coming into this one as well, because Maniac, we said it on map number 1, obviously he was really, really putting his weight in terms of the fragging ability, not something we'd expect. And then that did continue onto Inferno.
It's a great surprise. It really is a great surprise, and I think as a whole for Big, this is going to be a reference game. This is going to be one of the games that they go back to and that really, you know, binds them together in the victory.
Well, we're going to be able to check in with our winners as we do have Gade on the line. First of all, huge congratulations, man, for making it on land to the full finals.
Thank you very much.
Can you just put into words exactly what was going on in the team on that Inferno? Because we saw you guys really trying to exploit the A site and the weakened defense we saw from G2. Was that something that you had kind of thought about before the game, or was that kind of a read that tabseN had on the fly during the game?
Yeah, I think we had a good game plan prepared, and we were really trying to punish them on B because they didn't throw a lot of utility early in the round. But then, yeah, a lot of trade kills were made, and yeah, it was really a brawl, and a lot of rounds were thrown. Maybe we run some rounds that we weren't supposed to win, and yeah, it was just really a brawl, and I'm super glad we came out on top.
First of all, Gade, congratulations. What a crazy series from you guys. At the very beginning of this group, could you have imagined that you would push G2 back to the showdown with a 2-0 win and you would move on to the 4 finals?
Yeah, man, you gotta have trust always, right?
And for you as an individual, right, I think this was a very great series. Do you also feel like this was an important step in order to, you know, find your confidence and your comfort zone in the team to have that kind of impact?
Yeah, I think I've said in a interview earlier that I'm still trying to find my ground and see how much impact I can make. And we've also made some changes, and I think we're in this phase where we learn from the official matches and not so much from practice to see how things works. But yeah, I think it was good that we really were destroyed by Nip and FaZe, because we really learned a lot from those matches. And yeah, I think I played a great game today, a lot of impact, and I think everyone just really showed up and had good composure, and yeah, just really a fun game to play.
That's fair enough. Now, just you on a personal level, obviously you are filling quite big shoes, right? XANTARES out the door, a huge fragger, and you're coming into this big. In your eyes, what is it that you bring? What is your plus-value? What is it that makes this lineup special now that you join?
Yeah, I know a lot of people say that there are some firepower lacking, but I wouldn't really say that's the truth. I think I'm more of like a smart player, and I can still be a hard hitter. So I definitely want to bring a lot of like structure to the team within, like saying when Johannes makes a call, he might be on the other side. I really want to help you guys and make a good call. How we on the other side can approach like a take, and obviously bring some calls and just spread good energy. All like within the official games, always be the guy who like pulls the heavy pulls the team through, I guess.
Gade, specifically, I did notice that once you entered the roster, some of the moves you guys have been making on CT side, especially on your sides of the map, have felt a little bit cleaner. One map in particular I think of is Overpass. Are you controlling some of the movements over there? Are you being that secondary IGL to maneuver in the mid round?
I think it changes from map to map. There are maps where I play a lot with Tizian as well, and he's also really great with the communication, and we make a good plan together. And now playing B with Tabson as well, we also communicate really good. So I think it's a good mix of being on the same page. Yeah.
Okay, one more thing. During those late rounds in this game on Inferno, you know, when it was down 10-15, and you guys called to go A repeatedly. On round number 30, you guys just walk through the top mid smoke. Is that your call, Tabson's call? Who's making that bold of a read? Because that was an insane call.
Yeah, I think it was a read we had beforehand because they always make this mid smoke, and I kind of wanted to go contact through it. And then Johannes had that call in mind the entire game. And yeah, one guy was holding it, and we made some good trades and won the round pretty cleanly, I think. So that was good.
Cool.
Well, Gade, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Of course, it isn't what we're going to, just only what we're going to be seeing from Big going forward. You will be taking that rematch against NIP later on today to see if you can get the supremacy of Group B. How confident are you feeling going into that rematch against them?
You always got to have confidence, and I think we really want to show that the last match was an off day for us, and we want to show the real Big now.
Man, I'm so excited to see it go. Well, we'll let you go off and get a little bit, maybe some snacks, maybe some drinks heading in before that game. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you take on NIP later.
That'd be good. Thanks.
And I think it's going to be really interesting to see that rematch coming out because we heard it from Gade there. He said they felt like they learned so much coming off of that loss, and he just exemplified it in the server.
This was not the same Big that played on day one of these groups. This Big has a chance against NIP. This Big makes that matchup fun, makes it interesting, and now I'm not so sure about my pick in it because they had such composure there, and there were so many contributions across the board. This was a comprehensive team victory, and it's what we wanted to see from Big going into this.
Yeah, I have a really hard time taking distance from that G2 fumble, but you're right. And I think we have also to give it to Big. And the fact that they were able to come back, and as Gabe was talking about individual differences left and right, his impact on the game, the reads, the call, the decision, having that communication, and all these clutches they've been winning, we have to tip our hat to them as well. This was a crazy comeback that would not have been possible if they were not able to play these rounds 100% and forces our respect moving into the fall finals.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane indeed. Unfortunately, that does mean that G2 are down and out of the competition, but we do have a few words from Nexa from James.
So Nexa, G2 fall to Big and you find yourselves eliminated and now in the showdown. A tough and crushing loss for sure. And I'm going to skip over Dust 2 and come on to Inferno. You started off so good. It was looking like you had this game in your hands. You were just kind of rolling all over them. Then we see the swap come over at the half, even just the last few rounds before the half swap. It started to get a bit, I guess, worrying in just how the rounds went down. What changed for you? What did you notice something in particular?
I think the main thing is we got a bit too excited. Like we started over talking and like screaming the information instead of just, you know, staying calm and collected till the end of the game, you know, like it feels like we were so energized from just the fact that we were leading, we were up so much, and we just, you know, wanted it to be perfect. We wanted to win as fast as possible instead of, you know, just being chill and taking our time, and then it snowballed.
And is that a point where, like, ideally you need to do a timeout and slow things down potentially in the future?
Yeah, that's one way to see it. It could be a potential solution, but I think it's just the nature of the players that we have. Like when things are going like really well, everyone is really trying to be as positive as possible, you know, and bring as like much energy as they can, which is not necessarily always the best thing, you know. And you could see it now as well. Like I think we had a pretty good lead. We had a lot of chances to close it out. We could have even done a better T side, like those last 2 rounds. Honestly, we could have converted. And yeah, like on the CT, we had, I don't know, like 5-6 chances to close out the map. But then again, we just didn't do it properly. Same thing happened against NIP. I think we had a lead like 13-10 or something, and we were unable to close it out in that game as well. So it's something for us to rewatch and learn how to deal with in the future games.
Now, I do want to ask a little bit on your CT side, Inferno, that a lot of the times we were seeing that you were stacking 3 towards B very early on and kind of holding in on that. And then we were often finding that Big would take a bit of banana control, fall back. You guys weren't fighting for it at the time. And then sometimes they would try hit B. They're trying obviously keep things mixed up for you. Then other times they'd hit A. And we were seeing Jax kind of caught out of position. There seemed to be maybe miscommunication or difficult understanding of what was going on. Was it hard to really track what Big were doing in this game?
I think we just gave them a lot of space. Like we were playing 3B, but we were kind of gambling that they'll just come and, you know, give us the win instead of like, you know, we have the numbers towards B side. We could have retaken information. We could have done something more useful to help out the guys on A and actually, you know, take the game in our hands and actually close it by ourselves instead of just hoping that they will make a mistake and then that's how we're going to win.
And next, you've got the RMR coming up, right? Obviously, not too much time for you to get yourselves ready for it, but what is the key things you guys need to fix and focus on? Because I know for you and the rest of the team, right, you were up so high before the player break, and to fall this short now twice is going to be something very painful.
Yeah, the confidence is definitely low right now. I think it's something we have to work our way up to build it back again to where it was. Certainly, it's not going to be easy, but I like the fact that we are going to be on LAN. We are going to be, you know, playing even like, you know, practice room and having this type of environment. I think it'll do us really good just to be next to each other. And, you know, I think we play better in this type of environment than when we're just at home. So I think that can give us a little boost, but then the rest is up to us to put in the work necessary and to raise our level both individually and on every other aspect.
Commiserations to the side of G2 and Maui. It sounds like exactly what you were reading into the situation. Unfortunately, the communications for G2 not as clean as they may hoped. And Next was saying, you know, it was getting a bit chaotic in those final rounds when they kind of just presumed they would be pulling it over the line.
It's time to start considering playing every match via a boot camp if you are G2, because this was something that was unacceptable. The fact that they played a boot camp leaving EPL to practice and then splitting up for the fall groups is a very curious decision, whether that's the organization or the coaching staff or anyone, when you're definitely going to be playing better. He was talking about in the HLTV interview how well they were playing in that boot camp, how it seems like things were, the ship was being righted, and yet they separate and then we see them crumble in these high pressure moments.
Yeah, it is a huge question for the side of G2. Unfortunately for them, that does mean that they are eliminated from the competition, as we can check in with our bracket to see exactly where that matchup leaves us. Of course, that does leave us with our group final later on today, NIP versus Big, both vying for that top spot and the top seed going into LAN at the fall finals. And unfortunately for G2, that does mean once again they are down to the depths of the showdown. Man, the talent, as Courtney was saying, just keeps getting more stacked, more stacked, more stacked. I mean, like, this isn't where you want to be if you want to be ending up on LAN in Copenhagen.
No, you don't want to be in the showdown, but at the same time, I want to say that for G2, the path to salvation would be through playing good Counter-Strike again, and if they do, they would destroy anyone on that page. So, you know, for them, they have to focus on what matters, finding a way to have that victorious mindset once more. When Nexa is in an interview saying we were kind of hoping that they would make a mistake to finish the round, this is not what I want to hear from a top team that's looking to win, right? You're not hoping that your opponent is going to make a mistake. You force them to make a mistake. You take the round away from them. So for G2, obviously the showdown is going to be a hard moment. A lot of teams have suffered through these hoops of fire, but if they play good Counter-Strike there, they could survive it.
And for Big, that does mean they get the straight path forward into the fall finals. We can take a look at the teams that are already going to be gracing the stage there. And I actually can't believe that any of us bet against Big, because as Connor was saying, they've never not made out of a group and to a final at Blast.
That is the fun fact about Big, the fact that they keep making it through. There was Launders. He did predict picked actually Big, so gotta give
Gonna
him.
be insufferable.
Just gonna give a little bit of credit there, but yeah, a couple surprises there in the teams that are making it to the fall finals. I mean, we've got Astralis, we've got Big, both of which were probably ranked more or less the 3rd seed in their groups, and yet they pulled off some upset victories, and that's just gonna lead to a lot of fun once we get to LAN.
Yeah, it's going to be so exciting to see how that plays out indeed. But we aren't done with the Counter-Strike action just yet for you. Of course, that was the match rather, to determine who will be eliminated, who will be making it straight through to the fall finals. But later on today, it's going to be a battle for group supremacy as NIP are taking on Big. We're going to be back. We're going to be taking a little bit of an extended break, but make sure you join us back here at 8 p.m. for our pre-show as we see who is going to be taking the top spot of Group B.
I believe I have an unpopular opinion.
I think that Counter-Strike games are too long.
I don't know. I like the Krieg meta.
You see the map pool? All the 7 maps? It's gone.
I think definitely the most unpopular opinion I have is Vertigo is a good map.
I think that Vertigo is a pretty good map. I think that you have pretty good reason to go B sometimes. I think it's nice because CTs can both retake, but they can also play offensive, and there's more and more new ways to play Vertigo on the CT side, but also on the T side.
I think the hate against Vertigo is not really... I don't agree with it. I think maps like Mirage and Dust 2 should actually be getting more of the hate, in my opinion.
It's a map where there are a lot like hidden gems undiscovered yet, and there's like so much potential for it.
I like Vertigo, and I would love to see like Valve changing map pool like in 1 year. Every 1 year they change like 2 maps, because sometimes it get boring to watch all the maps over and over again.
The model skins, that they introduced to the game, I really don't like them. I don't think they added anything to the game, and I think we've heard from a lot of people who are colorblind, for example, that they actually have a hard time seeing these model skins when they're playing, which I think is like super broken, to be honest. I think it should be equal and fair for everyone, so I think there actually should be a command to like disable them,
I believe I have an unpopular opinion because I would love, for example, to have really something new. Of course, the best will be a new CS if it can come, but if not, we can still do something with CSGO. But I would, for example, love to, like Valve is coming, saying, you see the map pool, all the 7 maps, it's gone. And you just take 7 new maps that no one know, never practice, never see, never play, whatever, like totally new, and like go on, have fun.
I think that Counter-Strike games are too long. It's kind of impossible to be playing at the very top of your game for 6 or 7 hours straight. I don't think there's any sport in the world that is that crazy. I think that there should be some type of change that makes the game shorter. Whatever that's MR12, which I think is the most obvious.
It's too much for like normal viewers, because changing the game for like MR12, they're like doing less rounds. I don't know. It's viable, but it's gonna change the whole tournament system. So I don't know. I think just capping for PO3 is good enough.
So one thing that I want to bring back into CSGO is the map, the Tuscan. I think we need a bit of more introduction for new maps into the map pool, and I think Tuscan would be a perfect fit. And I'm not sure which map should go out, but of course, because we don't play Mirage, I would like to see that one go out. But I actually don't think Mirage is a bad map. I think it's pretty fun to play also.
If I could bring back one in CSGO update, I think I'd definitely bring back the Revolver. Not because it's good, just because I think it would be funny. Just people running around with revolvers, one-shotting people, I don't know.
Running one-shot everyone all the time in the body. Worse than the Deagle.
About PTs, I'm probably going to bring back the M4A1 before the nerf. I mean, I think it was viable the way it was, and the game was like, a little bit more sided, but I think that's okay. I don't know. I like the Krieg meta, so I think they should buff Krieg a little bit, because the gun now is completely garbage. So it's not bring back the old one, because the old one was OP, but
spoof a little bit so you can make it usable, you know.
Always when they do a major change to the game, usually people are really opposed to it in the beginning, you know? Like, for example, when they switch the gun sounds.
Didn't like the new sound of the game. I prefer how it was back. I don't remember when it was, but at least 5 or 6 years ago, when sometimes I lost myself on YouTube and I see some matches that happened into 2013, 2014. This sound of the AK-47, I miss it.
And then when you go back now on YouTube, for example, and you listen to the old gun sounds, you can't believe that they actually sounded like that. Like the current version is so much better, right?
But yeah, maybe it's not nostalgia as well. Who knows?
And I think it was the same when they did like the footsteps update.
It's less natural. You have to think about, okay, I heard something, where it exactly come from. While in the past you did not have this, it was really easy to directly know where the sound came from.
I prefer the Cobalt Skulls. I prefer the blue kit.
I will go for King Snake.
I think I'd go with the King Snake.
Marble Fade.
Marble Fade is always, I like the mix of colors.
Marble Fade Specialist Gloves is my favorite here.
Gloves. Ooh, okay. Look, I think the King Snakes are incredibly popular. Cobalt Skulls represent the hand wraps.
So out of these three, my favorite is probably the hand wraps, but I'm super weird, like, because I change my settings a lot, so if I play like black bars or stretched, I have to have a certain glove. Hand wraps would probably be my favorite.
It's a tough one, but I think I will go with the Specialist Gloves and Marble Fade. Why? Don't ask me why. I just like the colors. Here comes the thing, right? White gloves, they're gonna get dirty. Cobalt Skulls doesn't really feel like gloves at this point. Your hands will get dirty.
Specialist gloves, Marble Fade for sure. Even though like those driver gloves, King Snake are nice as well. I haven't seen them before. But yeah, the Marble Fade is good, just because I like fade colors.
I'm sure for 100% it's hand wraps, Cobalt Skulls. But I think like for me, these three skins of gloves are really cool. But I will prefer Cobalt Skulls because it's really blue, bright color.
The Specialist Gloves Marble Fade, and I've used them before, and they look really nice in game. I think I had those gloves, and then I had a Karambit Marble Fade, which is just like very nice combo.
I actually don't use gloves at all, but between these three, I think the driver gloves, King Snake, look the best. Nice leather, snake skin looking gloves.
I prefer Specialist Gloves Marble Fade because it reminds me Gambit colors, you know, blue and red, and I like a bit cold. It looks sick, but if I'll take all three.
I know this is not going to be the popular vote, but I'm going to defend my choice nonetheless. I'm going with the Marble Fades on this one, simply because the Marble Fades have the best interiors of all of the gloves. That's right, it's not always about the back, sometimes it's about the palms of your hands. When you're inspecting your weapons, when you're pulling out your knife and you see that highlighter orange, bro, that's all you need.
For me personally, the gloves are too thick around the fingers. Prefer to have hand wraps so I see the fingers for some fixed points or whatever, you know, in the game. But I think the Specialist Gloves Marble Fade, they look nice. They are good ones. King Snakes are also nice. Look good, look nice and clean. I go for the Marble Fade.
I always look at them as the comeback kings. You can never count them out no matter how bad it looks.
We have a tendency to forget how much it means to the players. The money is one thing, but the trophies and winning tournaments with this caliber, it's just what the players play for.
I think we're writing the first chapter of a long book.
I think there is a lot of pressure on me as a coach because we have been winning a lot the past couple of years. And it's extremely tough to be number one.
As far as I'm concerned, it's not even about winning, it's about making a statement. It's about showing to everyone that you are still dangerous. It's just a stylish way of playing Counter-Strike.
One inspired me to become a coach in Counter-Strike was that I finally faced that I couldn't continue playing myself because I was simply too bad. On a serious note, I think it was my love of the game actually. I've always been this secondary caller when I was playing. Sometimes I tried in game leading as well, but I always had this love for playing beautiful Counter-Strike the right way, playing the percentages, good utility. I think that's the most beautiful part of the game. I'm not a particular fan of let's say Sabu killing 5 people with a P250, but for me, beautiful Counter-Strike is high level of team play, flashing for each other, and good Molotovs. I think that's what for me is what Counter-Strike is all about. It's about that team play, and I think it's the right way to be played. I think I do a lot of things as a coach. It's a role that has a lot of job titles. Obviously, there are the whole strategic side of things. I need to make sure that our playbook is strong and that we have a lot of things that we can turn to if things are not working out in matches. I prepare against our opponents. I look at our matches afterwards. I theory craft. I look at some new nades that we can throw, or look at some of our opponents to see what are they doing that works so well. And then obviously also assisting Glaive in calling some of the practice matches so that he can focus on his individual play. My job, or our job, is definitely prior to the game to make sure that the team is ready for the tournament, that we have been practicing everything right, that there's no holes in our playbook. And then obviously we come up with some calls here and there during a live game that we feel okay. It could be a mental call, like if people are frustrated or things are not going right, or for me it can be like, okay, I sometimes keep track on how many times we attack this bomb site and what can we expect them to, what are they expecting from us now, and then I come with that input.
Being aggressive and fighting with the advantage, that's a good sign.
I think there is a lot of pressure on me as a coach because we have been winning a lot the past couple of years. I think there's a pressure from the community. Obviously they expect a lot from us, and they should, especially our fans, and we try to work as hard as we always do, and it's obviously getting tougher by the year, not because we're not working as hard as we did before, and it's extremely tough to be number one because that's where all the eyes shifts from Astralis to Vitality, for example, when they were number one, and then everybody's looking at, okay, what do they do? And it becomes extremely difficult sometimes in matches because you know that some of these players have studied your whole playbook basically, so you have to come up with new stuff. And then obviously also the mental side of things. When you are used to winning a lot of tournaments and a lot of trophies, it becomes difficult when you have these hard times, difficult times where you lose a couple of tournaments. When we win tournaments and we started losing, people will get frustrated a lot easier, and I think that's what we have been working on. I think the pressure is quite huge on me, but definitely also on the players. And I think the hardest part of being a coach is, I think it is the pressure, to be honest, the pressure that you put on yourself. You want to be the best version of yourself, and you want to win tournaments. And for me, I invest a lot of time into this, and I have a family as well, so it kind of has to pay off in some way. And then also looking at our players individually. Are they struggling with something? Are there some areas where I think that they can grow and become even better players? On any teams, players get tired of each other at some point, and then they start arguing, and you also have to be this father figure, and in that way, because it is young guys who turn professional athletes in a very short span of time. So you have to have social skills. You have to know your players and to understand them and not be stubborn yourself. And I have to see us move. And if the players were not working as hard as me, I would definitely not have been continue working with them, because I need to feel that we are in this together and we are part of a project. Yeah, I remember our first goal was to be number one team in the world, and then afterwards it was to be like named the best team of all time. But when we look at some statistics showing how long we've been number one team compared to some of the other teams, it looks like we are getting there towards that dream. And it's just, what do you tell the players next? 2,000 utility damage per player in one map. I don't know. It's quite difficult. And we have never been a fan of making specific goals. I think that's a mistake when team does that. Yeah, it can only be disappointing when you don't. To keep finding that golden land, you could say, that I can present to the players, and that if we do this, we're gonna win this, because they have pretty much tried everything that you can win in Counter-Strike. So I just wanted to showcase that it's actually quite difficult staying on top.
Oh my freaking god. Just wait.
So ominous, the music.
No, no, no.
Kick up! Holy shit, almost died.
Oh, what the? Ah! What the?
Oh my god, no, no!
Oh! Oh, I lost.
This is I like how I'm the first one to just immediately think, like, how can I with everybody else? This is way too intense. No!
No, 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 no. No, what?
No! No! No!
Oh my god, there's gravity on? What? What?
I've never surfed ever in my life. I'm past like the first actually surfing. I made it so far.
Oh my god, no way.
It's the Beachy Launders.
Don't get nervous.
Okay. No. How's that possible? I think I broke the map.
The map broke you. Did you stop on the ramp?
I'm like wedged into the ramp. And I cannot move, I think.
No!
I can smell you. No!
Ah, right.
Oh. Oh.
Remember to keep yourself composed when in clutches. No!
Oh god, I made it past the next level. I'm a wait. Oh, I had to go that way.
Oh my god.
What if this is how I get hooked on surfing and Blast is responsible for it?
I hope so, dude. Surfing's legit.
Dude, what? Dude, what is this? I'm kidding.
Alright, boys, I hope I finish soon.
No! I love Blast, I love Betway. But screw you guys for making a downwards tunnel.
Oh my god, oh my god, I again.
Let's go!
Yes, baby! Yeah, baby! Like, I cannot... What the what's going on?
Goodbye.
No, Mohan, no!
Oh no. Not good.
No, no, don't do it to me, dude. No, don't.